Well, hello model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Raul, and this week we're going to go over the contents and everything in this kit here. This is Moebius Models 65 AFX Plymouth. This is the Model King edition. If you know about Model King, Dave Burkett comes out with very limited edition kits. This is one of them, and many times it's got extra parts, or it's a version that you can't normally get straight from Moebius. Sometimes it's just extra decals and stuff, but a lot of times there are extra parts included in some of these kits. And I've gotten a few of the Model King ones before, but when it comes to Moebius, I'm a little surprised to say that I've got 14 of their kits, all the way from the 52, 53 Hudson Hornets, the 54 Hornet, and even the newest 64 Nova SS. Picked up that kit, and all their kits are just amazing. But I have to admit, I have not built one, so I can't believe I can say that there. But you know, this is in my stash, and let's go over some of the stuff. This is the Golden Commandos 65 Plymouth AFX, and it's a factory, not really a factory built car, but it's a factory backed car where they commissioned to get a number of these made. I think it's 10 or 11 altered wheelbases, but Plymouth really went to town on some of these, so some interesting reading and some history, which I like that stuff. But it's a factory backed drag car, you know, the engineers getting involved in it. But when it comes to this kit, you get decals to actually do both of these, so I'll show you those, the decals in here. Like I said, this is a Model King issue. It was issued in officially 2019, but I had pre-ordered this and I got it in January of 2020. So it's been in my stash for a couple of years, but I do plan to get to it. You can see the altered wheelbase chassis here, and I noticed something looking at it. They show you this oil pan. I'll get more into that in a little bit. And a couple of different engine options. They show you all three here. You got the cross ram Hemi, the velocity stacks with the short ones or the tall ones, whether it fits under the scoop or all the way through the hood. So they show long stacks or short stacks. But yeah, Hemi engines, which is really cool. So 65, they, you know, we're really starting to ramp up production for the Hemi engines. And then this tells you more about it, and a little bit about the mule car, which is what this one is, which there's not a whole lot of history of that car. And then the more famous one, the Golden Commandos, right there. And like I said, the decals for both are in here. So let's open this up. And these things are packed. I put the directions on top. I've kind of been through this kit. But I did that on purpose because when it comes to these instructions, they're just flat out amazing. So if you get one of these, it's just very good stuff. And it tells you right here there are extra parts in this kit, and even on one of the back pages it tells you right here, here's your extra parts list. All these numbers are parts that you don't use or don't need in this kit, because it includes extra parts to make extra versions. Not all the parts are in the kits, so you get a lot of extra parts, but it flat out tells you. And even the 64 Nova and a lot of the other kits, they tell you this stuff. Then what to paint all the parts, the colors, and they even give you in color pictures here, which is very nice reference, gives you an idea of what to paint and some details all included. Just wonderful stuff. I mean, it begs you to build it box stock. So there's the Hemi engines, the cross ram. Here's where I mentioned it tells you right here to use this stock oil pan, which is the stock oil pan. But the pictures on the box show the other oil pan. And I've heard, you know, through the grapevine, don't use that oil pan, even though the directions kind of tell you. The different wheels, the suspension, all kinds of notes on how to build it. So I mean, very, very detailed, very, very nice instructions. A couple of different options here, and even going over the motors here with the short stacks, tall stacks, and then the cross ram. So lots of good information in there. And since I was talking about the decals, we'll go right to them since they're right here. So here you are, the Golden Commandos both of them, and all the decals that go along with it, which is really cool. Hemi powered Plymouth decals, gauges, the 426 Hemi that goes on the car. It's kind of funny, Plymouth, but I believe the real car was that way. But just some cool stuff and some really nice decals. So we'll start digging into the contents of all this. Like I said, jam-packed, but I've been kind of looking through and seeing what's in here. So we'll start with the body. Very, very nice altered wheelbase body here, and separate front and rear parts, but it's a hard top roof. And definitely the altered wheelbase, you can definitely see the gap here, and the wheels moved forward. So can't build this one stock, that's for sure. I've got the Plymouth lettering right there on the back. Just some really nice stuff. And you got this tree here with some headers, multiple pieces of headers, the stock exhaust. Well, not really stock, but I believe that's in some of the classes there they require it. I don't believe it's mentioned in the directions. One of the parts that you really don't use, but like I said, there's a lot of extra parts in this kit. Here's one of the hoods. You can guess which setup this is for. And all the holes are molded shut. So you can see you got all the holes for the different things. The scoops, the hood pins, the emblem, bunch of holes. But you clean and trim that off. Here's the altered wheelbase chassis. And then you got your automatic pedals, your steering column, the door panels. That's the torsion bars, part of the suspension, the spindles. Here's that really nice chassis, the altered wheelbase chassis. You can see they moved it all up. And it's got some molded in detail right there. I sand that off, the copyright stuff, but it's right there and fairly easy to access, but it's also hidden under the axle a little bit. Here's another one of the trees where you've got your altered frame. Here's the race oil pan, got the really big oil pan there. Steering gear, roll bar. Here's part of the roll bar. Here's another piece of the roll bar, another roll bar. The modified suspension. This is the valley pan for the injectors. There's a coolant bottle, 4-speed tunnel. The rear end, which has got a Dana 60, which I don't believe Dana 60 would have been available in this car in 65. I believe it was 8 3/4 rear end only. I believe the Dana didn't come out until like 66. Then you got special belt there, the shocks, this piece that goes under the front bumper, and then you got some linkages here, which are really nice linkages. I was looking at the instructions, and looks like those are for the velocity stacks, like the carburetor linkages. And then the coil there. Then here you've got the bucket seats. These are the van ones where the race car used. Another full exhaust system, which this is what the max wedges use, which is really cool. I'll save that for some other builds because I don't believe this build needs it. It's got its own headers and stuff, but that's cool. It's in here. Here's some 4-speed pedals, seat backs, rear seat, and which I'm not 100% sure you use this at the moment. Here's that hood scoop that you would use. There's a whole nother tree with your Hemi engine, with the automatic transmission attached, the cross ram intake, the manifolds for the max wedge, which don't really belong in here, the oil pan, transmission pan for the 727 here, distributor, starter, the Hemi heads, front timing, carburetors, velocity stacks here are the screen meshes. Here's a stock oil pan, carburetors. Here's the headers, which I believe these are the headers you actually use on this one. Pretty cool. Then belts, fan. Here's some more pieces of the carburetor right here. So we got the 2-piece carburetor. So there's 2 carburetors, but 4 pieces total. Here's some more parts. You got your inner fenders for your altered wheelbase, the front piece that your grill and bumper mounts to. Here's the hood for the velocity stacks. Same thing, all the holes are filled in, but you can drill them all out and put in all of those parts. Your radiator support, your firewall, which is right here, and then all of your brakes, drum brakes all the way around in this car. Here's the rear panel, the steering wheel, and your radiator, your battery, and your nice dash, which this is a very nice dash, so check that out. A couple of horns, which I don't believe are used. Steering column again, got a couple of columns, which I believe that's for manual tranny, where the other one had the shifter. We got another tree here of all of the clear parts. So you got your windows, the side ones up, then your headlights, your front vent windows right here, and the front and rear glass, and turn signals and tail lights. It's pretty cool. And these are quite interesting how they do their headlights. So it's definitely an interesting way of doing it. So I'm looking forward to doing those. Put that back in the bag here so they don't get scratched up. Here's the chrome tree. So there's a lot of neat stuff on this. Here you got your wheels, which these are the Krager SS ones. And you got 4 skinnies, 2 wide ones. All your taillights. All the chrome hood pins, which there are extras there. Well, they're not really extras. Here's your stock air cleaner, console, your bumpers, your grill, wipers, Hemi heads. There's the wedge valve covers, your stock wheel caps, and lots of different emblems. These are for your headlights, door handles, inside rearview mirror. These fill in where the headlights go. So some versions, a later version doesn't have headlights, it's got these cones. Then here's those velocity stacks, which you have to cut these and shorten them if you want to do the short version. Here's a satellite trim, which I don't believe is used on this particular version. And the stock oval air cleaner, which same thing. This would be like your 383 or your 426 wedge, but this would be like your max wedge or your Hemi air cleaner. So lots of extra parts here that, like, a lot of these aren't really used, not in this kit anyway, but a lot of really cool stuff. And then we got your tires here, which are pretty much like kind of like a pie crust drag slicks. These are pretty nice, one piece. They're somewhat hard but hollow. Then your front stock or front runners. And I believe that's, well, not quite all of it. You got one tree here off to the side. And you also got your plain steel wheels. So you got 2 fronts, 4 backs. You know, fairly skinny, and then the wider ones for the race. And then more of the hood pins, but not chromed. So if you want to paint them silver and not use the chrome ones, you got those. And I forgot to mention on the body, the same kind of thing. There are holes here because some of the later cars, they had hood pins on here instead of a trunk latch. So you can open those holes up. And then same thing on the back panel. You can open up some holes there for the parachute to mount to, or your license plate bracket. So definitely some clues in the tooling and everything. For stock versions, of course, they have the satellite. I have one of those, and they also have another one of the race cars, the California Flash, but it has the sedan roof and not an altered wheelbase. I have that kit as well, but I'd mentioned I have not built any Moebius kits, and I'm actually itching to do this one. So I am going to start this one, get this one going, and primer, and start doing some body work and get some things. You know, got to start with gluing the engine, of course. So got to get going on that. So since I'm rounding out some other projects that are finishing up, I'm going to start this one. So this one is going to be reappearing. So it's not really from the stash, but I'm showing you all the contents right out of the kit as it comes right out of the box. So we'll get moving on this, and I'll start getting some of this stuff cut off the sprues and separate what I don't need and what I'm going to need. And I fully intend to build the mule car first. I want to do that one. Just cool to me, since I like the history part of it. I'm going to do this one, and I think I'm going to go with this Hemi, even though from what I've read quickly is they switched quickly to the velocity stacks on these, but I don't know my race cars that well, and same thing with any kind of race cars. It's point in time stuff, you know, certain races, and even between rounds, you know, they can have the steel wheels or the aluminum wheels. But I understand somebody had mentioned that a lot of these wheels were failing or weren't quite as strong, so they stuck with the steel wheels on the back and used those on the front for, you know, weight reasons and weight reduction, which is why you supposedly see a lot of these with steel wheels on the back and aluminum wheels on the front. You know, even the Thunderbolts, I guess, were going with that problem too. So kind of fun to read that stuff. I'm not sure all the details on what I'm going to do on the wheels yet, because I like those Krager wheels, but those steel wheels that they include in here too, these are really nice. So let's see what I choose and how I choose to build it, and you know, I'm open to input as well. You know, how would you build it? But thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments. I really appreciate it. And you guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next Saturday.